When compared to conventional music magazines, Amplitude retains various features and qualities that make them appealing to readers. The feature article photograph is placed in front of the masthead like Metal Hammer, but text is less obscured to allow for the text to be easily read by first-time readers. The exposed edges of the masthead also create a sense of brand identity that is continued throughout the publication. A similar technique is deployed on the cover of Metal Hammer, with the feature article photograph partially obscuring the masthead, leaving enough on the sides for it to be recognised as the standard Metal Hammer format. The masthead also makes use of a white outline around the light blue text. This was done to help the title stand out amongst the dark blue background without compromising the colour scheme and house style on display on the rest of the page. The web address is not featured frequently on the cover of other magazines, but takes up a position usually allocated to a puff on the cover of Amplitude, to place greater emphasis on the online variations of the Amplitude brand. This was done to better appeal to the youthful target demographic who are known to indulge in online publications more so than printed media. Examples of this done to the same effect are few and far between. However, both Classic Rock and Metal Hammer have their shared website, Team Rock, in the bottom right corner above the barcode. This, however, would draw much less attention. My magazine makes use of both plugs and puffs justified on either side of the cover to allow for greater emphasis on the feature article photograph. This is by no means an unconventional format, as it is made use of on the majority of modern magazine covers. Metal Hammer and Amplitude do this to similar effect, to reduce white space and to place greater emphasis on the feature article photograph. Few plugs were used above my cover line, so that the attention isn't drawn away from the lighting effect in the photograph. All puffs and plugs are placed in front of the feature article photograph to allow for increased legibility. The choice to put the issue number and pricing information with the barcode in the bottom right corner was made because it lowered the attention drawn towards costs, because it is common among other rock magazines, most notably Metal Hammer. The choice to reduce attention drawn by the price was made as a significant proportion of the target audience are considered emergent service workers who aren't considered particularly affluent. The choice of typography on the masthead arose out of a need to be seen as a music magazine and rock magazine above all else, so a font was chosen that resembled that of other bands, with a bold, distinctive look. The cover line's font was chosen as it resembled that of band logos, particularly those who focus on heavy metal. The choice to have almost all of the text made white or grey to reduce the chance that the text would become unreadable against the background. It also created a sense of uniformity on the front cover that continues in the rest of the magazine. The accentuation of the colours black, blue, and white not only reflected the tendency for these colours to be used a lot in the music industry, but also reflect the results from a survey carried out in order to find out what rock fans find the most suitable for rock. A similar strategy was deployed in Metal Hammer, with its emphasis on blue, black, white and red. This was likely done in an effort for its cover to include connotations of the colour red, such as anger. I made the decision to have the title of the contents page much larger than the rest of the text on the page. This was done to aid those navigating my magazine. It was placed in the top right of the page, which is a convention used in many publications, including Metal Hammer. The same font and the same white outline as the masthead was used on the contents page title in an effort to promote the consistent nature of my magazine, but also to emphasize brand identity in my publication. This is the same reason as to why the title of the magazine is placed in the top right corner of every page, as it strengthens the magazine's brand identity. The image used to represent the main article of the magazine was done in a different way to the images used on the cover and the double-page spread. Instead, a male member of the band is shown against a white backdrop in casual clothing. This isn't very conventional, but it would appeal to the emergent service workers as it strips away the fiction that surrounds popular acts that is emphasized by the cover and creates a sense of verisimilitude. He appears to be represented in a far more realistic way, so would likely appeal to people who wish to see them in a more realistic environment. There are a few examples of this in other publications, however, with magazines such as Metal Hammer casting aside realism in an effort to create ridiculous scenarios in an effort to appeal to a young audience. Right. The contents page for Amplitude is divided into different categories, making the magazine a more navigable venture. This also helps express the variety of content available in the magazine, intriguing potential readers. Metal Hammer does not conform to this, however, and forgoes categories entirely, creating a disordered and chaotic contents page. This may have been an effort to suit the genre of heavy metal the magazine focuses on. I used page numbers that stood out from the rest of the page by either being larger than most of the text or a different colour. This was done in an effort to have the page numbers stand out amidst the rest of the text and allowed for readers to easily understand where the content they are seeking is. This is by no means unconventional and is used frequently in most physical publications. I placed the title of the article in the top left corner of the double page spread. This was to allow for readers to tell what is contained within the following article in a location convention dictates it should be placed. This means the reader will instinctively look towards that area when wanting to know what the contents of the article are. Metal Hammer only partially conforms to this norm, with its title halfway down the left side of the page. My cover article photograph is placed directly in the centre of the double page spread, emphasising the importance of the figures presented. It's also situated in that position so that the first thing readers see when turning to that page is a face they might recognise. The picture is a long 3-shot comprising of 2 men and a woman. This suggests the gender ambiguity of the article. It also has them all facing towards the camera in a shot that was clearly posed. In Metal Hammer, the picture taken of the band also conforms to the centre of the page, however the image is candid. Neither are considered unconventional, however. The use of a drop cap at the beginning of each article in both Amplitude and Metal Hammer are considered very conventional, with very few articles starting without one. The placement of the Amplitude web address next to the page numbers helped emphasize Amplitude's online presence and therefore popularity with young people. The mentioning of social media and Apple products in the article also shows the focus on younger audiences the magazine has. The use of skyscrapers in the foreground of the feature article photograph emphasize urban environments in which the majority of Amplitude's target audience reside. Whilst the eye-level shot doesn't emphasize power, the use of lighting and the scale of the buildings surrounding the band members helps characterize these individuals as powerful. The Metal Hammer article uses a similar effect, but in the place of buildings and lightning, Metal Hammer uses pyrotechnics. Informal language was also used in the article to better appeal to audiences with limited language skills and to the chosen genre. This is common amongst a variety of music magazine genres from rap to pop. The pull quote used in Amplitude is placed just below the feature article photograph. This is a conventional position as readers are drawn towards it from the photograph. Metal Hammer overlays their pull quote over the top of their photograph, which would draw more attention, but it is a risk of obscuring the image. This is also an example of conventional positioning.